Hey everybody, welcome back to Yehusha's Glory. We're getting back into the book of Jasher. We've got I just counted up, we got well over 70 pages, maybe 100 pages left. So we're going to take this a little at a time. What we're picking up today is chapter 20 on page 334 in the Sefer. And let's see. And it reads... Of course, the intro to this from last time, there's the paragraph. Abraham goes to the land of Palestine and again tells the people that Sarah is his sister. Avimelech, the king, desires her for a woman. An angel warns him and commands him to return her to her man. The whole land is afflicted on account of the matter, and Sarah is restored to Abraham, who entreats Yahuwah to heal the people of Avimelech. Okay, here we go. Chapter 20, down here at the bottom of the right-hand page, 334. Page 334. And at that time Abraham journeyed from the plain of Mamre, and he went to the land of the Pelishtim, and he dwelt in Gerar. It was in the 25th year of Abraham's being in the land of Canaan, and the 100th year of the life of Abraham, that he came to Gerar in the land of the Pelishtim. And when they entered the land, he said to Sarah his woman, "Say you are my sister to anyone that shall ask you, in order that we may escape the evil of the inhabitants of the land." And as Abraham was dwelling in the land of the Pelishtim, the servants of Avimelech, king of Pelishtim, saw that Sarah was exceedingly beautiful, and they asked Abraham concerning her, and he said, "She is my sister." And the servants of Avimelech went to Avimelech, saying, "A man from the land of Canaan is come to dwell in the land, and he has a sister that is exceeding fair." And Avimelech heard the words of his servants, who praised Sarah to him. And Avimelech sent his officers, and they brought Sarah to the king. And Sarah came to the house of Avimelech, and the king saw that Sarah was beautiful, and she pleased him exceedingly. And he approached her and said to her, "What is that man to you, with whom you did come to our land?" And Sarah answered and said, "He is my brother, and we came from the land of Canaan to dwell wherever we could find a place." And Abimelech said to Sarah, "Behold, my land is before you. Place your brother in any part of this land that pleases you, and it will be our duty to exalt and elevate him above all the people of the land, since he is your brother." And Abimelech sent for Abraham, and Abraham came to Abimelech. And Abimelech said to Abraham, "Behold, I have given orders that you shall be honored as you desire on account of your sister Sarah." And Abraham went forth from the king, and the king's present followed him. As at evening time, before men lie down to rest, the king was sitting upon his throne, and a deep sleep fell upon him. And he lay upon the throne and slept till morning. And he dreamed that an angel of Yahuwah came to him with a drawn sword in his hand. And the angel stood over Abimelech and wished to slay him with the sword. And the king was terrified in his dream, and said to the angel, "In what have I sinned against you, that you come to slay me with your sword?" And the angel answered and said to Abimelech, "Behold, you die on account of the woman which you did yesterday bring to your house, for she is a married woman, the woman of Abraham whom came to your house. Now therefore return that man his woman, for she is his woman. You should not return her, and should you not return her, know that you will surely die, you and all belonging to you." And on that night there was a great outcry in the land of Pelishtim, and the inhabitants of the land saw the figure of a man standing with a drawn sword in his hand, and he smote the inhabitants of the land with the sword. Yea, he continued to smite them. And the angel of Yahuwah smote the whole land of the Palestine on that night, and there was a great confusion on that night and on the following morning. And every womb was closed, and all their issues, and the hand of Yahuwah was upon them on account of Sarah, woman of Abraham, whom Abimelech had taken. And in the morning Abimelech rose with terror and confusion, and with a great dread, and he sent and had his servants called in, and he related his dream to them, and the people were greatly afraid. And one man standing amongst the servants of the king answered the king, saying, "O sovereign king, restore this woman to her man, for he is her man." For the like happened to the king of Mizraim when this man came to Mizraim. And he said concerning his woman, she is my sister, for such is his manner of doing when he comes to dwell in the land to which he is a stranger. And Pharaoh sent and took this woman for a woman, and Yahuwah brought upon him grievous plagues until he returned the woman to her man. Now therefore, O sovereign king, know what happened yesternight to the whole land, for there was a very great consternation and great pain and lamentation, and we know that it was on account of the woman which you did take. Now therefore restore this woman to her man, lest it should befall us as it did to Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim, and his subjects, and that we may not die. And Abimelech hastened and called and had Sarah called for, and she came before him. And he had Abraham called for, and he came before him. And Abimelech said to them, What is this work you have been doing in saying you are brother and sister, and I took this woman for a woman? And Abraham said, Because I thought I should suffer death on account of my woman. And Abimelech took flocks and herds and men servants and maid servants and 1,000 pieces of silver, and he gave them to Abraham and returned Sarah to him. And Abimelech said to Abraham, Behold, the whole land is before you. Dwell in it wherever you shall choose. And Abraham and Sarah his woman went forth from the king's presence with honor and respect, and they dwelt in the land, even in Gerar. And all the inhabitants of the land of Palestine and the king's servants were still in pain through the plague which the angel had afflicted upon them the whole night on account of Sarah. And Abimelech sent for Abraham, saying, Pray now for your servants to Yahuwah Elohim, that he may put away this mortality from among us. And Abraham prayed on account of Abimelech and his subjects, and Yahuwah heard the prayers of Abraham, and he healed Abimelech and all his subjects. Now we have Yitzhak is born, causing much rejoicing among the friends of Abraham. Ishmael attempts to kill Yitzhak, and on that account is sent away with his mother. Ishmael is blessed with riches and posterity. That's your forward-going paragraph. So we're on chapter 21. We're going on page 336 here. Book of Jasher, Sefer. And it was at the end of a year and 4 months of Abraham's dwelling in the land of the Palestine in Gerar, that Elohim visited Sarah, and Yahuwah remembered her, and she conceived and bore a son to Abraham. And Abraham called the name of the son which was born to him, which Sarah bore to him, Yitzhak. And Abraham circumcised his son Yitzhak at 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded Abraham to do unto his seed after him. And Abraham was 100, and Sarah 90 years old, when Yitzhak was born to them. And the child grew up, and he was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast upon the day that Yitzhak was weaned, and Shem and Eber, and all the great people of the land, and Abimelech, king of the Palestine, and his servants, and Pichol, the captain of his host, came to eat and drink and rejoice at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of his son Yitzhak's being weaned. Also Tarach, the father of Abraham, and Nakor, his brother, came from Haran, they and all belonging to them, for they greatly rejoiced on hearing that a son had been born to Sarah. And they came to Abraham, and they ate and drank at the feast which Abraham made upon the day of Yitzhak's being weaned. And Tarach and Nakor rejoiced with Abraham, and they remained with him many days in the land of the Palestine. At that time Serug, the son of Reu, died in the first year of the birth of Yitzhak, son of Abraham. And all the days of Serug were 239 years, and he died. And Ishmael, the son of Abraham, was grown up in those days. He was 14 years old when Sarah bore Yitzhak to Abraham, and Elohim was with Ishmael, the son of Abraham, and he grew up, and he learned to use the bow and become an archer. And when Isaac, or Isaac, was 5 years old, he was sitting with Ishmael at the door of the tent. And Ishmael came to Isaac, and seated himself opposite to him. And he took the bow and drew it and put the arrow in it and intended to slay Isaac. And Sarah saw the act which Ishmael desired to do to her son Isaac, the act which Ishmael desired to do to her son Isaac, and it grieved her exceedingly on account of her son. And she sent for Abraham, and she said to him, Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for her son shall not be heir with my son, for thus did he seek to do unto him this day. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah, and he rose up early in the morning, and he took 12 loaves and a bottle of water, which he gave to Hagar, and sent her away with her son. And Hagar went with her son to the wilderness, and they dwelt in the wilderness of Paran with the inhabitants of the wilderness. And Ishmael was an archer, and he dwelt in the wilderness a long time. And he and his mother afterward went to the land of Mitzrayim, and they dwelt there. And Hagar took a woman for her son from Mitzrayim, and her name was Mariah. And the woman of Ishmael conceived and bore 4 sons and 2 daughters. And Ishmael and his mother and his woman and children afterward went and returned to the wilderness. And they made themselves tents in the wilderness in which they dwelt, and they continued to travel and then to rest monthly and yearly. And Elohim gave Ishmael flocks and herds and tents on account of Abraham his father, and the man increased in cattle. And Ishmael dwelt in deserts and in tents, traveling and resting for a long time, and he did not see the face of his father. And in some time after, Abraham said to Sarah his woman, I will go and see my son Ishmael, for I have a desire to see him, for I have not seen him for a long time. And Abraham rode upon one of his camels to the wilderness to seek his son Ishmael, for he heard that he was dwelling in a tent in the wilderness with all belonging to him. And Abraham went to the wilderness, and he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon, and he asked after Ishmael. And he found the woman of Ishmael sitting in the tent with her children, and Ishmael her man and his mother were not with them. And Abraham asked the woman of Ishmael, saying, Where has Ishmael gone? And she said, He has gone to the field to hunt. And Abraham was still mounted upon the camel, for he would not get off to the ground, as he had sworn to his woman Sarah that he would not get off from the camel. And Abraham said to Ishmael's woman, My daughter, give me a little water that I may drink, for I am fatigued from the journey. And Ishmael's woman answered and said to Abraham, We have neither water nor bread. And she continued sitting in the tent and did not notice Abraham. Neither did she ask him who he was. But she was beating her children in the tent, and she was cursing them. And she also cursed her man Ishmael and reproached him. And Abraham heard the words of Ishmael's woman to her children, and he was very angry and displeased. And Abraham called to the woman to come out to him from the tent. And the woman came and stood opposite to Abraham, for Abraham was still mounted upon the camel. And Abraham said to Ishmael's woman, When your man Ishmael returns home, say these words to him. A very old man from the land of the Pelishtim came hither to seek you, and thus was his appearance and figure. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing you were not here, he spoke unto me and said, When Ishmael your man returns, tell him, Thus did this man say, When you come home, put away this nail of the tent, which you have placed here, and place another nail in its stead. And Abraham finished his instructions to the woman, and he turned and went off on the camel homeward. And after that Ishmael came from the chase, he and his mother, and returned to the tent, and his woman spoke these words to him. A very old man from the land of Pelishtim came to seek you, and thus was his appearance and figure. I did not ask him who he was, and seeing you were not at home, he said to me, When your man comes home, tell him, Thus says the old man, Put away the nail of the tent which you have placed here, and place another nail in its stead. And Ishmael heard the words of his woman. He knew that it was his father, and that his woman did not honor him. And Ishmael understood his father's words that he had spoken to his woman. And Ishmael hearkened to the voice of his father. And Ishmael cast off that woman, and she went away. And Ishmael afterward went to the land of Canaan, and he took another woman, and he brought her to his tent, to the place where he then dwelt. And at the end of 3 years, Abraham said, I will go again and see Ishmael my son, for I have not seen him for a long time. And he rode upon his camel and went to the wilderness, and he reached the tent of Ishmael about noon. And he asked after Ishmael, and his woman came out of the tent, and she said, He is not here, my lord, for he has gone to hunt in the fields, and to feed the camels. And the woman said to Abraham, Turn in, my lord, into the tent and eat a morsel of bread, for your soul must be wearied on account of the journey. And Abraham said to her, I will not stop, for I am in haste to continue my journey, but give me a little water to drink, for I have thirst. And the woman hastened and ran into the tent, and she brought out water and bread to Abraham, which she placed before him, and she urged him to eat, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted, and he blessed his son Ishmael. And he finished his meal, and he blessed Yehusha, and he said to Ishmael's woman, When Ishmael comes home, say these words to him, A very old man from the land of Palestine came hither and asked after you, and you were not here, and I brought him out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. And he spoke these words to me, When Ishmael your man comes home, say unto him, The nail of the tent which you have is very good, do not put it away from the tent. And Abraham finished commanding the woman, and he rode off to his home, to the land of Palestine. And when Ishmael came to his tent, his woman went forth to meet him with joy and a cheerful heart. And she said to him, An old man came here from the land of Palestine, and thus was his appearance. And he asked after you, and you were not here, so I brought out bread and water, and he ate and drank, and his heart was comforted. And he spoke these words to me, When Ishmael your man comes home, say to him, The nail of the tent which you have is very good. Do not put it away from the tent. And Ishmael knew that it was his father, and that his woman had honored him, and Yehusha blessed Ishmael. Now the future paragraph here, we'll read that real quick. Ishmael returns to his father with his woman and children. Abraham returns to Canaan and makes his home in Beersheba, where he hospitably entertains all strangers and teaches them the way of Yehusha. Isaac and Ishmael's conversation happens. And then, of course, the offering of Isaac foretold. And then Satan's opinion of the father of the faithful. So all these things are being covered coming up here. 22, page 337, Sefer. And Ishmael then rose up and took his woman and his children and his cattle and all belonging to him. And he journeyed from there. And he went to his father in the land of Palestine. Or Palestine, how you pronounce it. And Abraham related to Ishmael, his son, the transaction with the first woman that Ishmael took, according to what she did. And Ishmael and his children dwelt with Abraham many days in that land. And Abraham dwelt in the land of the Palestine a long time. And the days increased and reached 26 years. And after that, Abraham, with his servants and all belonging to him, went from the land of the Palestine and removed to a great distance. And they came near to Chevron. And they remained there, and and the servants of Abraham dug wells of water, and Abraham and all belonging to him dwelt by the water. And the servants of Abimelech, king of the Palestine, heard the report that Abraham's servants had dug wells of water in the borders of the land. And they came and quarreled with the servants of Abraham, and they robbed them of the great well which they had dug. And Abimelech, king of the Palestine, heard of this affair, and he with Pichtol, captain of his hosts, and 20 of men came to Abraham. And Abimelech spoke to Abraham concerning his servants, and Abraham rebuked Abimelech concerning the well of which his servants had robbed him. And Abimelech said to Abraham, As Yehusha lives, who created the whole earth, I did not hear of the act which my servants did unto your servants until this day. And Abraham took 7 ewe lambs, and gave them to Abimelech, saying, Take these, I pray you, from my hands, that it may be a testimony for me that I dug this well. And Abimelech took the 7 ewe lambs which Abraham had given to him, for he had also given him cattle and herds in abundance. And Abimelech swore to Abraham concerning the well. Therefore he called that well Beersheba, for there they both swore concerning it. And they both made a covenant in Beersheba. And Abimelech rose up with Pichtol, the captain of his host, and all his men, and they returned to the land of Palestine. And Abraham and all belonging to him dwelt in Beersheba, and he was in that land a long time. And Abraham planted a large grove in Beersheba, and he made to it 4 gates facing the 4 sides of the earth. And he planted a vineyard in it, so that if a traveler came to Abraham, he entered any gate which was in his road, and remained there and ate and drank and satisfied himself, and then departed. For the house of Abraham was always open to the sons of men that passed and repassed, who came daily to eat and drink in the house of Abraham. And any man who had hunger and came to Abraham's house, Abraham would give him bread, that he might eat and drink and be satisfied. And anyone that came naked to his house, he would clothe with garments as he might choose, and give him silver and gold to make known to him Yahuwah, who had created him in the earth. This did Abraham all his life. And Abraham and his children and all belonging to him dwelt in Beersheba, and he pitched his tent as far as Chevron. And Abraham's brother Nakor and his father, and all belonging to them dwelt in Haran, for they did not come with Abraham to the land of Canaan. And children were born to Nakor, which Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and sister to Sarah, Abraham's woman, bore to him. And these are the names of those that were born to him: Uz, Buz, Kemuel, Kesed, Kazo, Pildish, Yidlaph, and Bethuel, being 8 sons. These are the children of Milcah, which she bore to Nakor, Abram's brother. And Nakor had a concubine, and her name was Reumah. And she also bore to Nakor Zevach, Gekash, Takash, Maacah, being 4 sons. And the children that were born to Nakor were 12 sons, besides his daughters, and they also had children born to them in Haran. And the children of Uz, the firstborn of Nakor, were Aiv, Shereph, Gadin, Melus, and Deborah, their sister. And the sons of Buz were Barakel, Naamath, Shiva, and Madonu. And the sons of Kemuel were Aram and Rechov. And the sons of Kesed were Anamlech, Meshai, Benon, and Yephai. And the sons of Kazo were Pildash, Meki, and Ophir. And the sons of Pildash were Arud, Chamum, Mered, and Molech. And the sons of Yidlaph were Mushan, Cushan, and Mutzi. And the children of Bethuel were Sekar, Lavan, Lavan, and their sister Rivkah. These are the families of the children of Nakor that were born to them in Haran. And Aram, the son of Kemuel, and Rechov, his brother, went away from Haran, and they found a valley in the land by the river Perath. And they built a city there, and they called the name of the city after the name of Pethor, the son of Aram. That is Aram Naharaim, unto this day. And the children of Kesed also went to dwell where they could find a place, and they went and they found a valley opposite to the land of Shinar. And they dwelt there. And they there built themselves a city, and they called the name at the city Kesed, after the name of their father. That is the land Kasdimah unto this day. And the Kasdim dwelt in that land, and they were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly. And Tarach, father of Nakor and Abraham, went and took another woman in his old age, and her name was Pelilah. And she conceived and bore him a son, and he called his name Sova. And Tarach lived 25 years after he begat Sova. And Tarach died in that year, that is, in the 35th year of the birth of Isaac, son of Abraham. And the days of Tarach were 205 years, and he was buried in Haran. And Sova, the son of Tarach, lived 30 years, and he begat Aram, Achlis, and Merich. And Aram, son of Sova, son of Tarach, had 3 women, and he begat 12 sons and 3 daughters. And Yehusha gave to Aram, the son of Sova, riches and possessions, and abundance of cattle and flocks and herds. And the man increased greatly. And Aram, the son of Sova, and his brother, and all his household journeyed from Haran, and they went to dwell where they should find a place. For their property was too great to remain in Haran, for they could not stop in Haran together with their brethren, the children of Nakor. And Aram the son of Sova went with his brethren, and they found a valley at a distance toward the eastern country, and they dwelt there. And they also built a city there, and they called the name thereof Aram, after the son of their eldest brother, that is, Aram Sova, to this day. And Isaac the son of Abraham was growing up in those days, and Abraham his father taught him the way of Yehusha, to know Yehusha, and Yehusha was with him. And when Isaac was 37 years old, Ishmael his brother was going about with him in the tent. And Ishmael boasted of himself to Isaac, saying, I was 13 years old when Yehusha spoke to my father to circumcise us, and I did according to the word of Yehusha, which he spoke to my father, and I gave my soul unto Yehusha, and I did not transgress his word, which he commanded my father. And Isaac answered Ishmael, saying, Why do you boast to me about this, about a little bit of your flesh, which you did take from your body, concerning which Yehusha commanded you? As Yehusha lives, the Elohim of my father Abraham, if Yehusha should say unto my father, Take now your son Isaac, and bring him an offering before me, bring him up an offering before me, I would not refrain, but would joyfully accede to it. Yehusha heard the word that Isaac spoke to Ishmael, and it seemed good in the sight of Yehusha. And he thought to try Abraham in this matter. And the day arrived when the sons of Elohim came and placed themselves before Yehusha. And Satan also came with the sons of Elohim before Yehusha. And Yehusha said unto Satan, Whence come you? And Satan answered, Yehusha. And he said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And Yehusha said to Satan, What is your word to me concerning all the children of the earth? And Satan answered Yehusha and said, I have seen all the children of the earth who serve you, and remember you when they require anything from you. And when you give them the thing which they require from you, they sit at their ease and forsake you, and they remember you no more. Have you seen Abraham the son of Tarach, who at first had no children, and he served you and erected altars to you wherever he came, and he brought up offerings upon them, and he proclaimed your name continually to all the children of the earth? And now that his son Isaac is born to him, he has forsaken you. He's made a great feast for all the inhabitants of the land, and Yehusha has been forgotten. For amidst all that he has done, he brought you no offering, neither burnt offering nor peace offering, neither ox, lamb, nor goat, of all that he killed on the day that his son was weaned. Even from the time of his son's birth till now, being 37 years, he built no altar before you, nor brought any offering to you. For he saw that you did give what he requested before you, and he therefore forsook you. And Yehusha said to Satan, Have you thus considered my servant Abraham? For there is none like him upon earth, a perfect and an upright man before me, one that fears Elohim and avoids evil. As I live, were I to say unto him, Bring up Isaac your son before me, he would not withhold him from me. Much more if I told him to bring up a burnt offering before me from his flock or herds. And Satan answered Yehusha and said, Speak then now unto Abraham as you have said, and you will see whether he will not this day transgress and cast aside your words. So, let's see what happens. So Satan is basically, telling Father for Abraham to bring his kid up for an offering. He's asking him to do that to prove that Abraham loves Yehusha. Okay, here's the future stuff coming up. Abraham is commanded to offer up Isaac in the land of Mariah. Abraham's obedience, Sarah's affliction, what happened on the way, Satan's attempt to hinder them, Isaac, an acceptable offering, father and son alone, the willingness of Isaac. He assists his father in building the altar. While they both weep bitterly, they yet rejoice to be counted worthy before Yehusha. Isaac bound and placed upon the altar. The angels of Elohim intercede for Isaac, who is released at the command of Yehusha, and a ram is offered in his place. Satan, by his deception and evils, causes the death of Sarah. Okay, got a lot of stuff coming up here. At that time, this is chapter 23, page 340. At that time the word of Yahuwah came to Abraham, and he said unto him, Abraham, and he said, Here I am. And he said to him, Take now your son, your Yachid, from whom you love, even Isaac, and go to the land of Mariah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which shall be shown to you. For there will you see a cloud and the glory of Yahuwah. And Abraham said within himself, How shall I separate my son Isaac from Sarah his mother, in order to bring him up for a burnt offering before Yahuwah? And Abraham came into the tent, and he sat before Sarah his woman, and he spoke these words to her. My son Isaac is grown up, and he has not for some time studied the service of his Elohim. Now tomorrow I will go and bring him to Shem and Eber his son, and there he will learn the ways of Yahuwah, for they will teach him to know Yahuwah as well as to know that when he prays continually before Yahuwah, he will answer him. Therefore, there he will know the way of serving Yahuwah, Eloahu. And Sarah said, You have spoken well. Go, my lord, and do unto him as you have said. But remove him not at a great distance from me, neither let him remain there too long, for my soul is bound within his soul. And Abraham said unto Sarah, My daughter, let us pray to Yahuwah Elohinu, that he may do good with us. And Sarah took her son Isaac, and he abode all that night with her. And she kissed and embraced him and gave him instructions until morning. And she said to him, O my son, how can my soul separate itself from you? And she still kissed him and embraced him, and she gave Abraham instructions concerning him. And Sarah said to Abraham, O my lord, I pray you take heed of your son, and place your eyes over him, for I have no other son nor daughter but him. Oh, forsake him not. If he be hungry, give him bread, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. Do not let him go on foot, neither let him sit in the sun. Neither let him go by himself in the road, neither force him down whatsoever he may desire. Neither force him from whatsoever he may desire. But do unto him as he may say to you. And Sarah wept bitterly the whole night on account of Isaac, and she gave him instructions till morning. And in the morning Sarah selected a very fine and beautiful garment from those garments which she had in the house, that Abimelech had given to her. And she dressed Isaac her son therewith, and she put a turban upon his head, and she enclosed a precious stone in the top of the turban, and she gave them provisions for the road. And they went forth, and Isaac went with his father Abraham, and some of their servants accompanied them to see them off the road. And Sarah went out with them, and she accompanied them upon the road to see them off, and they said to her, Return to the tent. And when Sarah heard the words of her son Isaac, she wept bitterly, and Abraham her man wept with her. Her man wept with her, and their son wept with them a great weeping. Also those who went with them wept greatly, and Sarah caught hold of her son Isaac, and she held him in her arms, and she embraced him, and continued to weep with him. And Sarah said, Who knows if after this day I shall ever see you again? And they still wept together, Abraham, Sarah, and Isaac. And all those that accompanied them on the road wept with them. And Sarah afterward turned away from her son, weeping bitterly. And all her manservants and maidservants returned with her to the tent. And Abraham went with Isaac his son to bring him up as an offering before Yahuwah, as he had commanded him. And Abraham took 2 of his young men with him, Ishmael the son of Hagar, and Eliezer his servant. And they went together with them, and while they were walking in the road, the young men spoke these words to themselves. And Ishmael said to Eliezer, Now my father Abraham is going with Isaac to bring him up for a burnt offering to Yahuwah, as he commanded him. Now when he returns, he will give unto me all that he possesses to inherit after him, for I am his firstborn. And Eliezer answered Ishmael and said, Surely Abraham did cast you away with your mother, and swear that you should not inherit anything of all he possesses. And to whom will he give all that he has with all his treasures, but unto me, his servant, who has been faithful in his house, who has served him night and day, and has done all that he's desired me? To me will he bequeath at his death all that he possesses. And while Abraham was proceeding with his son Isaac along the road, Satan came and appeared to Abraham in the figure of a very aged man, humble and of a contrite ruach. And he approached Abraham and said to him, Are you silly or brutish that you go to do this thing this day to your Yahid? For Elohim gave you a son in your latter days, in your old age, and will you go and slaughter him this day because he committed no violence? And will you cause the soul of your Yahid to perish from the earth? Do you not know and understand that this thing cannot be from Yahuwah? For Yahuwah cannot do unto man such evil upon earth, to say to him, Go slaughter your child. And Abraham heard this and knew that it was the word of Satan, who endeavored to draw him aside from the way of Yahuwah. But Abraham would not hearken to the voice of Satan, and Abraham rebuked him, so that he went away. And Satan returned and came to Isaac, and he appeared unto Isaac in the figure of a young man, comely and well favored. And he approached Isaac and said to him, Do you not know and understand that your old silly father brings you to the slaughter this day for naught? Now therefore, my son, do not listen nor attend to him, for he is a silly old man. And let not your precious soul and beautiful figure be lost from the earth. And Isaac heard this and said unto Abraham, Have you heard, my father, that which this man has spoken? Even thus has he spoken. And Abraham answered his son Isaac and said to him, Take heed of him, and do not listen to his words, nor attend to him, for he is Satan, endeavoring to draw us aside this day from the commands of Elohim. And Abraham still rebuked Satan, and Satan went from them. And seeing he could not prevail over them, he hid himself from them, and he went and passed before them in the road, and he transformed himself to a large brook of water in the road. And Abraham and Isaac and his 2 young men reached that place, and they saw a brook large and powerful as the mighty waters. And they entered the brook and passed through it, and the waters at first reached their legs. And they went deeper in the brook, and the waters reached up to their necks, and they were all terrified on account of the water. And while they were going over the brook, Abraham recognized that place, and he knew that there was no water there before. And Abraham said to his son Isaac, I know this place in which there was no brook nor water. Now therefore it is this Satan who does all this to us, to draw us aside this day from the commands of Elohim. And Abraham rebuked him and said unto him, Yahuwah rebuke you, O Satan, be gone from us. We go by the commands of Elohim. And Satan was terrified at the voice of Abraham, and he went away from them, and the place again became dry, as it was at first. And Abraham went with Isaac toward the place that Elohim had told him. And on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place at a distance which Elohim had told him of. And a pillar of fire appeared to him that reached from the earth to heaven, and a cloud of glory upon the mountain, and the glory of Yahuwah was seen in the cloud. And Abraham said to Isaac, My son, do you see that mountain which we perceive at a distance, that which I see upon it? And Isaac answered and said unto his father, I see, and lo, a pillar of fire and a cloud, and the glory of Yahuwah is seen upon the cloud. And Abraham knew that his son Isaac was accepted before Yahuwah for a burnt offering. And Abraham said unto Eliezer and unto Ishmael his son, Do you also see that which we see upon the mountain which is at a distance? And they answered and said, We see nothing more than like the other mountains of the earth. And Abraham knew that they were not accepted before Yahuwah to go with them. And Abraham said to them, Abide ye here with the ass, while I and Isaac my son will go to yonder mount, and worship there before Yahuwah, and then return to that place. Return to you. And Eliezer and Ishmael remained in that place as Abraham had commanded. And Abraham took wood for a burnt offering and placed it upon his son Isaac. And he took the fire and the knife, and they both went to that place. And when they were going along, Isaac said to his father, Behold, I see here the fire, the wood, And where then is the lamb that is to be burnt, is to be the burnt offering before Yahuwah? And Abraham answered his son Isaac, saying, Yahuwah has made choice of you, my son, to be a perfect burnt offering instead of the lamb. And Isaac said unto his father, I will do all that Yahuwah spoke to you with joy and cheerfulness of heart. And Abraham again said unto Isaac his son, Is there in your heart any thought or counsel concerning this which is not proper? Tell me, my son, I pray you, O my son, conceal it not from me. And Isaac answered his father Abraham and said to him, O my father, as Yahuwah lives and as your soul lives, there is nothing in my heart to cause me to deviate, either to the right or to the left, from the word that he has spoken to you. Neither limb nor muscle has moved or stirred at this, nor is there in my heart any thought or evil counsel concerning this. But I am of joyful and cheerful heart in this matter, and I say, Blessed is Yahuwah, who has this day chosen me to be a burnt offering before him. And Abraham greatly rejoiced at the words of Isaac, and they went on and came together to that place that Yahuwah had spoken of. And Abraham approached to build the altar in that place. And Abraham was weeping. And Isaac took stones and mortar until they had finished building the altar. And Abraham took the wood and placed it in order upon the altar which he had built. And he took his son Isaac and bound him, in order to place him upon the wood which is upon the altar, to slay him for a burnt offering before Yahuwah. And Isaac said to his father, Bind me securely, and then place me upon the altar, lest I should turn and move and break loose from the force of the knife upon my flesh, and thereby profane the burnt offering. And Abraham did so. And Isaac still said to his father, O my father, when you shall have slain me and burnt me for an offering, take with you that which shall remain of my ashes, to bring to Sarah my mother, and say to her, This is the sweet-smelling savor of Isaac. But do not tell her this, if she should sit near a well, or upon any high place, lest she should cast her soul after me and die. And Abraham heard the words of Isaac, and he lifted up his voice and wept when Isaac spoke these words. And Abraham's tears gushed down upon Isaac his son. And Isaac wept bitterly, and he said to his father, Hasten you, O my father, and do with me the will of Yahuwah Eloheinu, as he has commanded you. And the hearts of Abraham and Isaac rejoiced at this thing which Yahuwah had commanded them. But the eye wept bitterly, while the heart rejoiced. And Abraham bound his son Isaac, and placed him on the altar upon the wood. And Isaac stretched forth his neck upon the altar before his father. And Abraham stretched forth his hand to take the knife to slay his son as a burnt offering before Yahuwah. At that time, the angels of mercy came before Yahuwah and spoke to him concerning Isaac, saying, O Yahuwah, you are a merciful and compassionate king over all that you have created, in heaven and in earth, and you support them all. Give therefore ransom and redemption instead of your servant Isaac, and pity and have compassion upon Abraham and Isaac, his son, who are this day performing your commands. Have you seen, O Yahuwah, how Isaac the son of Abraham, your servant, is bound down to the slaughter like an animal? Now therefore let your pity be roused for them, O Yahuwah. At that time Yahuwah appeared unto Abraham and called to him from heaven and said to him, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him. For now I know that you fear Elohim in performing this act, and in not withholding your son your Yachid from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, a ram was caught in a thicket by the thorns. That was the ram which Yahuwah Elohim had created in the earth in the day that he made earth and heaven. For Yahuwah had prepared this ram from that day to be a burnt offering instead of Isaac. And this ram was advancing to Abraham when Satan caught hold of him and entangled his horns in the thicket, that he might not advance to Abraham, in order that Abraham might slay his son. And Abraham, seeing the ram advancing to him, and Satan withholding him, fetched him and brought him before the altar, and he loosened his son Isaac from his binding, and he put the ram in his stead. And Abraham killed the ram upon the altar and brought it up as an offering in the place for his son Isaac. And Abraham sprinkled some of the blood of the ram upon the altar, and he exclaimed and said, "This is in the place of my son, and may this be considered this day as the blood of my son before Yehusha." And all that Abraham did on this occasion by the altar, he would exclaim and say, "This is in the room of my son, and may it this day be considered before Yehusha in the place of my son." And Abraham finished the whole of the service by the altar, and the service was accepted before Yehusha, and was accounted as if it had been Isaac. And Yehusha blessed Abraham and his seed on that day. And Satan went to Sarah, and he appeared to her in the figure of an old man, very humble and meek. And Abraham was yet engaged in the burnt offering before Yehusha. And he said unto her, "Do you not know all the work that Abraham has made with your Yachid this day? For he took Isaac and built an altar and killed him and brought him up as a sacrifice upon the altar. And Isaac cried and wept before his father, but he looked not at him, neither did he have compassion over him. And Satan repeated these words, and he went away from her. And Satan heard all the words, and Sarah heard all the words of Satan. And she imagined him to be an old man from amongst the sons of men who had been with her son, and had come and told her these things. And Sarah lifted up her voice and wept and cried out bitterly on account of her son. And she threw herself upon the ground, and she cast dust upon her head, and she said, "O my son Isaac, my son, oh that I had this day died instead of you." And she continued to weep and said, "It grieves me for you, O my son Isaac. Oh that I had died this day in your stead." And she still continued to weep and said, "It grieves for me for you, after that I have reared you and have brought you up. Now my joy is turned into mourning over you. I that had a longing for you, and cried and prayed to Elohim till I bore you at 90 years old. And now have you served this day for the knife and the fire, to be made an offering. But I console myself with you, my son, in its being the word of Yehusha, for you did perform the command of your Elohim. For who can transgress the word of our Elohim, in whose hands is the soul of every living creature? You are just, O Yehusha Eloheinu, for all your works are good and righteous, for I also am rejoiced with your word which you did command. And while my eye weeps bitterly, my heart rejoices. And Sarah laid her head upon the bosom of one of her handmaids, and she became as still as a stone. She afterward rose up and went about making inquiries, till she came to Chevron, and she inquired of all those whom she met walking in the road, and no one could tell her what had happened to her son. And she came with her maidservants and menservants to Kiryat Arba, which is Chevron. And she asked concerning her son, and she remained there while she sent some of her servants to seek where Abraham had gone with Isaac. They went to seek him in the house of Shem and Eber. They could not find him, and they sought throughout the land, and he was not there. And behold, Satan came to Sarah in the shape of an old man, and he came and stood before her, and he said unto her, I spoke falsely unto you, for Abraham did not kill his son, and he is not dead. And when she heard the word, her joy was so exceedingly violent on account of her son, that her soul went out through joy. She died and was gathered to her people. And when Abraham had finished his service, he returned with his son Isaac to his young men. And they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and they came home. And Abraham sought for Sarah, and could not find her. And he made inquiries concerning her, and they said unto him, She went as far as Chevron to seek you both where you had gone, For thus was she informed. And Abraham and Isaac went to her to Chevron, and when they found that she was dead, they lifted up their voices and wept bitterly over her. And Isaac fell upon his mother's face and wept over her. And he said, "O my mother, how you left me? O my mother, how have you left me, and where have you gone?" That's what he says. "Oh, how have you left me?" And Abraham and Isaac wept greatly, and all their servants wept with them on account of Sarah, and they mourned over her a great and heavy mourning. Okay, that's the end for right now. We're going to pick it up next time, chapter 24. And I want to thank you all very much for listening in. Like I say, these are long readings, fascinating and beautiful words. However, it's hard to stay focused. So if you get fatigued, just hit pause, write down the minutes and seconds, and then come back to it and watch some more later, or listen to it later. Just hit pause and listen to it. Sometimes you just can't pay attention for that long. It's just hard for any of us. So don't feel bad if it gets boring, or if you start to let your mind wander. If your mind wanders, I'd rather you hit pause and listen later, because you're going to miss these really interesting things that are happening if you just let it keep playing in the background and your mind wanders. Anyway, Father, bless every one of you. I want to thank you for coming here and listening to this today. We have a lot more of the book of Jasher to go. Like I told you before, it's my first time reading it. I find it fascinating. I hope you do too. I want to thank you for being here. I'll see you next time on Yehusha's Glory.